When you think about the biggest creatures on our planet, whales are probably the first thing that comes to mind. But they're also some of the most mysterious. So today, we're going to dive deep and try to uncover the secrets of these colossal, intelligent giants that rule our oceans.
So what are those secrets really? I mean, think about it. How does a mammal, an animal that breathes air just like us, end up ruling the deep sea? And what in the world are they saying to each other across those huge watery distances? Well, let's find out together.
Okay, first things first, we've got to talk about their sheer scale. It's just mind-blowing. A blue whale can weigh up to 200 tons. To put that in perspective, that's like 30 elephants all stacked together. It's a number that's seriously hard to even wrap your head around.
And what about their length? We're talking 30 meters, that's nearly 100 feet long. And get this, that doesn't just make them the biggest animal alive today. It makes them the largest animal to have ever lived, period. Yeah, bigger than any dinosaur you can think of.
And if that wasn't enough, their lifespan is just as staggering. The bowhead whale, for example, can live for over 200 years. I mean, can you imagine? That makes them one of the longest living mammals on the entire planet. They literally witness centuries of change happening all around them, right there, under the waves. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. Even though they live their whole lives in the water, whales aren't fish. Not at all. They're actually mammals, just like you and me. So what gives? What's the actual difference?
Well, you can see the big differences right here. For one, whales have lungs, so they have to come up to the surface to breathe air, totally unlike fish with their gills. They're also warm-blooded, which is how they can hang out in those freezing polar waters. And the real kicker? They give birth to live babies and feed them milk. That's a classic mammal move right there, no doubt about it.
So this all leads to a really big question, right? If they're mammals, their ancient ancestors must have lived on land at some point. So how on earth did they end up back in the water? And why? Honestly, it's one of the most dramatic comeback stories in the history of evolution.
This whole transformation was an epic journey that took about 50 million years. Seriously, it all started with this little wolf-sized critter called Pakicetus, a land dweller. Fast forward a few million years and you get Ambulocetus, literally the walking whale, which was kind of comfortable on land and in the water. By about 40 million years ago, things like Basilosaurus were totally aquatic. Their back legs had shrunk down to these tiny little things that were basically useless. The journey back to the ocean, it was finally complete.
But their evolution, that's just one piece of the puzzle. For me, the most captivating mystery is how they talk to each other. See, whales don't just make noises. They compose these incredibly complex songs that can travel for hundreds, sometimes thousands of miles. It's almost like this encrypted language that we're only now starting to crack.
Yeah, this isn't just random noise, not by a long shot. Whale song is structured, it has patterns, themes, a complexity that honestly rivals our own music. Some of these songs can go on for hours, and they even change with the seasons, like they're releasing a new album every year. It suggests a level of intelligence that's not just cognitive, but maybe even artistic.
So what are they actually singing about? Well, scientists have a few ideas. These songs seem to be for, all sorts of things. They could be long-distance hellos or ways to attract a mate. Maybe they're marking their territory or using the sound to navigate the dark ocean. They might even be coordinating group activities, like a hunt.
Just stop and think about that for a second. A single song traveling over 1,600 kilometers. That's 1,000 miles across the open ocean. It's incredible. And even with all the amazing tech we have today, the true full meaning behind these epic ballads, it's still one of the ocean's biggest unsolved mysteries.
And this amazing complexity, it's not just in their songs. Whales also build these really intricate societies. We're talking about levels of intelligence and teamwork that are just, well, they're simply astounding.
Okay, so if we're looking at the big picture, you can kind of split the whale world into two main groups. On one hand, you've got the baleen whales. Think of the blue whale or the humpback. They use those big filter plates to eat tiny stuff like krill, and they're the ones famous for those incredible songs. Then, on the other hand, you have the toothed whales, like orcas and sperm whales. These guys are hunters, and they use this super sophisticated built-in sonar called echolocation to find their prey. All right, let's zoom in on one of the most intelligent ones out there, the orca. You probably know them as killer whales. And listen, they are way more than just predators. These animals are master strategists. They have incredibly complex family bonds, and their problem-solving skills, they're right up there with primates.
Watching them hunt is like watching a masterclass in teamwork.
The whole pod, which is basically their family, talks to each other using their own unique dialect of clicks and whistles. They work together to corner their prey, and they use these amazing strategies. Like, they'll actually create a wave together to wash a seal right off an ice floe. It is just a stunning, stunning display of group intelligence.
But for all of their size, all of their intelligence, and all of their power, the biggest mystery facing whales today is a really tragic one. It's the riddle of how they're going to survive in a world that is being changed so much by us.
You know, the biggest dangers for whales today aren't sharks or giant squid, not anymore. As you can see here, the threats are, well, they're pretty much all from us. From the pollution and plastic we pour into the oceans to the noise from our ships and the ships themselves, our actions are turning their home into a minefield.
Just think about it for a second. If you're an animal that sees with sound, all that constant engine noise from ships is like being constantly blinded. The plastic they swallow poisons them from the inside. The point is, for all their immense power, they are incredibly, incredibly vulnerable to the world we've created.
And all of this really leads to a pretty profound thought. A whale's greatness isn't just about its size. It's about this incredible, delicate balance they represent. They are immensely powerful, but also fragile. They're unbelievably intelligent, but also so vulnerable. In a way, they're a living reminder of just how intricate and beautiful our planet's ecosystems really are.
So, we've gone on this incredible journey, right? From their ancient ancestors walking on land all the way to their complex societies in the deep blue sea. We've managed to decode a few of their secrets. But that leaves us with the final, and by far the most urgent question of all. Can we figure out the secret to protecting them before their song fades from